The quantum communication array aboard the International Space Station picked up the signal at 2:13 a.m. Earth Standard Time. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, lead xenolinguist at the Global Space Communication Center, had spent 15 years studying potential alien languages. Now, as she stared at her holographic display, her hands trembled. The message was clear, precise, and desperate. This is High Council Member Lyra of the Aetherian Alliance. Our worlds burn. The Void Hunters consume everything in their path. Their neural-linked warships tear through our defenses like paper. We broadcast this plea to all spacefaring civilizations. Help us, or watch as another species falls to their hunger. Within hours, the United Earth Defense Council convened in their underground chamber beneath Geneva. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the assembled leaders, her weathered face illuminated by the floating tactical displays. The Aetherian transmission originated from the Carina Nebula, approximately 7,000 light-years from Earth. Their quantum entanglement technology allowed instantaneous communication, but their message indicates they've lost most of their quantum nodes to these Void Hunters. General Marcus Williams, his dark skin contrasting with his silver hair, studied the technical readouts. Their neural-linked ships are centuries ahead of our technology. The Aetherians themselves appear to be a Type Io civilization, and yet they're losing. How can we possibly help? Admiral Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. Because, General, sometimes the most advanced solution isn't the best one. The Void Hunters and Aetherians both evolved on worlds with stable environments. Their neural interfaces require perfect conditions to function. But us. She gestured to the image of Earth rotating behind her. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every step of the way. Our technology isn't designed to be perfect. It's designed to keep working when everything goes wrong. The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Some argued it was suicide to involve Earth in an alien war with their first contact. Others insisted they had a moral obligation to help. The discussion raged until Fleet Captain Maya Patel stepped forward. With respect, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. While we debate, people die. The Aetherians may be more advanced, but they've never had to adapt like we have. Earth's gravity is 1.3 times stronger than their homeworld. Our temperature variations would drive them mad. We're not just sending ships and soldiers. We're sending survivors, evolved through millions of years of overcoming adversity. She pulled up the specifications for her ship, the UES Sentinel. Our vessels aren't as sophisticated as theirs, but they're built to take punishment that would shatter their perfect machines. Our crews train in conditions that would kill most species. We may be primitive by their standards, but sometimes primitive works. The Council's vote was unanimous. Within 48 hours, Earth launched its first interstellar rescue mission. 30 warships, led by Captain Patel aboard the Sentinel, prepared for faster-than-light transit. Their crews weren't just soldiers. They were the product of a planet that had forged humanity through ice ages, natural disasters, and countless challenges. As the fleet made its final preparations, Dr. Rodriguez sent Earth's response to the Aetherian distress call. It was short, but it would mark humanity's first official communication with an alien civilization. This is Earth. We hear you. We're coming. Hold on. The message was broadcast in both English and the Aetherian language she had deciphered. As she sent it, Dr. Rodriguez couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity's first contact wouldn't be a peaceful exchange of knowledge, but a rescue mission into the heart of an interstellar war. Perhaps that was fitting. Earth had taught its children not just to survive, but to help others survive as well. Captain Patel stood on the Sentinel's bridge as the fleet prepared for departure. All ships, sound off, she commanded. One by one, 30 vessel commanders reported ready. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, not just faster-than-light travel, but an immediate deployment into combat. Fleet Command, this is Sentinel, Patel reported. We are go for transit. Next stop, Carina Nebula. The stars blurred as humanity's first battle fleet left Earth behind. They were fewer in number than their enemies, less advanced than those they went to save, but they carried with them something unique, the indomitable spirit of a species that had turned surviving the death world into an art form. The rescue mission to save the Etherian Alliance had begun. The Void Hunters were about to learn why evolution on Earth had created warriors unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Carina Nebula, and Captain Patel's breath caught in her throat. The tactical display showed dozens of massive Void Hunter vessels, their crystalline hulls gleaming with neural energy signatures. They dwarfed the remaining Etherian ships, which darted between asteroids in desperate evasive patterns. Multiple distress beacons detected, Lieutenant Raj Kumar reported from his sensor station. The Etherian fleet is down to 23% combat effectiveness. Their orbital defense platforms are offline. Commander Sarah Foster, the Sentinel's tactical officer, studied the enemy formations. The Void Hunters are using their neural links to coordinate perfectly. Every ship moves in absolute sync with the others. She paused, a predatory smile forming. But that level of coordination has a cost. Explain, Patel ordered, though she was beginning to see it herself. Their neural networks require incredible processing power. Look at their flight patterns. They're avoiding the nebula's radiation clouds, staying away from gravitational distortions. They need stable conditions to maintain their perfect synchronization. Patel nodded. And we don't. All ships, this is Sentinel Actual. Battle Plan Delta 7. Let's show them why Earth's chaos made us stronger. The human fleet split into smaller groups, each diving into the very phenomena the Void Hunters avoided. The nebula's radiation clouds played havoc with sensors, but human ships relied on redundant systems, backup after backup, designed to function even when conditions were far from ideal. The Void Hunters' response came as a tight beam transmission, translated by their AI systems. Primitive vessels, you dare interfere. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Retreat or be destroyed with the Etherians. This is Captain Maya Patel of Earth, she responded. We're not here to compete with your technology. We're here to show you what humans do best: survive. The Sentinel dove through a radiation cloud, emerging behind a Void Hunter cruiser. Their enemies' neural-linked weapons couldn't track them through the interference, but the Sentinel's conventional targeting systems, tested in Earth's worst storms, worked just fine. Kinetic rounds punched through the cruiser's perfect but inflexible shields. Across the battlefield, human ships demonstrated why evolution on Earth had prepared them for this moment. They used the nebula's natural phenomena as cover, turning the very chaos their enemy avoided into a weapon. When Void Hunter energy beams scattered their formation, human crews adapted instantly, years of training in unpredictable conditions paying off. The Etherian ships, seeing the human success, began to follow their lead. Though more advanced, they learned quickly, using their superior technology in new ways, inspired by human tactics. Multiple Void Hunter ships showing signs of neural network strain, Kumar reported. Their synchronization is failing. Commander Foster's tactical display highlighted enemy vessels breaking formation. They can't maintain their neural links in these conditions. Each ship has to fight independently now. And that, Patel said with grim satisfaction, is something we've been doing since we first looked up at the stars. All ships press the advantage. Show them why Earth's greatest gift to us wasn't perfect conditions, but the strength to thrive in imperfect ones. The battle shifted. Without their perfect coordination, the Void Hunters' superior technology became a liability. Their crews, dependent on neural interfaces, struggled to match the intuition and adaptability of human pilots who had trained for every contingency. An Etherian battleship, its hull gleaming with quantum-locked alloys, pulled alongside the Sentinel. High Council member Lyra's image appeared on the main display. The alien leader's crystalline features showed clear surprise. Captain Patel, your tactics, they defy conventional warfare doctrine. You deliberately seek out conditions that should impair your function. With respect, Council Member, Paddle replied. Humans have never waited for perfect conditions. Earth taught us to take what we have and make it work. Your technology is incredible, but sometimes the ability to adapt matters more than the ability to dominate. A massive explosion lit up the nebula as another Void Hunter vessel succumbed to the combined human-Aetherian assault. The remaining enemy ships began to retreat, their perfect formation shattered, their neural networks overwhelmed by the chaos they had sought to avoid. Fascinating, Lyra mused. Our databases labeled Earth a death world, too dangerous for conventional colonization. We never considered that such conditions might forge something unique. That's the thing about death worlds, Paddle said, watching the enemy flee. They don't just kill. They teach, and humanity's greatest lesson was learning to turn adversity into advantage. But even as the human fleet regrouped, long-range sensors detected something troubling. The Void Hunters weren't running away. They were falling back to regroup. Hundreds more ships were emerging from faster-than-light travel. The real test was about to begin. Humanity had proven they could disrupt the enemy's perfect coordination, but now they would have to prove they could survive being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Captain Patel smiled. After all, surviving impossible odds was another lesson Earth had taught them well. The reinforced Void Hunter fleet filled the starscape like a metallic storm, their neural-linked ships pulsing with energy that made the sensors scream. Captain Patel stood on the Sentinel's bridge, watching as hundreds of enemy vessels took up attack positions. They're adapting, Commander Foster reported, studying the tactical display. New formation patterns. They're creating redundant neural networks, trying to maintain coordination even in nebula conditions. Lieutenant Kumar's hands flew over his sensor station. Captain, I'm detecting quantum signature changes in their shields. They're reconfiguring to operate in higher radiation environments. Of course they are, Paddle said, a hint of pride in her voice. They're learning. But so are we. Dr. Rodriguez, what do you have for me? Dr. Elena Rodriguez's hologram appeared on the bridge, transmitted from her lab back on Earth, where she continued analyzing Void Hunter communications. Their neural networks operate on quantum principles similar to our FTL drives. The more complex the network, the more energy they need to maintain stability. And the more they risk when that stability fails, Patel finished. She opened a channel to the Aetherian flagship. Council Member Lyra, we need to change tactics. They're adapting to the nebula's natural chaos. Time to show them some human-made chaos. The crystalline features of the Aetherian leader showed both curiosity and concern. What do you propose, Captain? Your ships have quantum torpedoes. Ours have electromagnetic pulse generators. Separately, neither can breach their new shields. But if we combine them, synchronized with the nebula's natural radiation pulses, a cascading quantum disruption, Lyra finished, her eyes widening. But Captain, the timing would need to be perfect. The slightest miscalculation could tear reality itself. Then it's a good thing humans are very, very good at calculating risks, Paddle replied. Because right now, our only other option is watching them overwhelm us with numbers. The plan was insane. It required human ships to dive deeper into the nebula's most dangerous regions, using their superior resistance to extreme conditions to get close enough to launch their attack. The Aetherians would provide targeting data through their quantum sensors, guiding the human strikes to precise weak points. All hands, battle stations, Paddle ordered. Remember your training. Remember Earth. Remember every storm, every earthquake, every disaster that taught us to keep fighting when everything goes wrong. The human fleet split into strike teams, each paired with Aetherian vessels. They dove into radiation storms that would fry the Void Hunters' neural networks, using the very conditions that should kill them as cover. The enemy responded with overwhelming force, their weapons turning space itself into a killing field. But they couldn't maintain their perfect coordination in these conditions, and that gave humanity its chance. Strike Team Alpha, in position, Commander Foster reported. Beta through Delta. Synchronized. Ready on your mark. Patel took a deep breath. All teams, execute Operation Thunderstrike. Show them what happens when you corner a species that evolved to overcome impossible odds. The human ships emerged from the radiation storms like ancient sea predators breaching the waves. Their EMP generators powered up, synchronized with the nebula's natural pulses. The Aetherian quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously, their paths calculated to intersect at precise points in the enemy formation. The result exceeded even Patel's expectations. The combined energy release created a cascade of quantum disruptions through the Void Hunters' neural networks. Ships that had operated in perfect harmony suddenly found their coordination shattered, their crews struggling to operate without the neural links they depended on. Multiple enemy vessels showing critical system failures, Kumar reported, his voice tight with excitement. Their redundant networks are collapsing. There, his voice trailed off as new contacts appeared on the sensors. The Void Hunters had called in their reserves. Nearly 1,000 ships dropped out of FTL, carrying with them something new, massive structures that began assembling themselves in space. Analysis coming in, Foster reported, her face grim. They're constructing neural amplification arrays. They're going to try to brute force their way through the interference with raw power. Patel studied the tactical display, watching as the enemy prepared to overwhelm them with sheer technological might. But there was something in the data, a pattern she recognized from Earth's history. They're overcompensating, she said slowly. They're so focused on maintaining their perfect neural links that they're making themselves vulnerable to something else entirely. She opened a channel to all ships. All vessels, prepare for Phase 2. They want to show us the power of their technology. Let's show them the power of evolution. The next phase would take humanity's greatest strength, their ability to survive where others couldn't, and turn it into a weapon that no amount of advanced technology could counter. The Void Hunters were about to learn why challenging a Deathworld species in their own element was a deadly mistake. Marine Colonel Diana Chen watched from the dropship's viewport as the massive neural amplification arrays took shape above the Carina Nebula's contested worlds. Her strike team, drawn from Earth's most elite special forces, represented humanity's answer to overwhelming technological superiority. Biological adaptability pushed to its limits. Those arrays are planetary-scale neural networks, Lieutenant Sarah O'Connor explained, checking her tactical gear. The Void Hunters are trying to create a perfect bubble of controlled conditions across the entire battlefield. Perfect is the enemy of survival, Chen replied, a phrase that had become the unofficial motto of Earth's military. Status on the ground teams. All units ready, Colonel. The Aetherians have given us access to their underground defense networks. We can move our forces anywhere on the surface without detection. The plan was audacious. While the Void Hunters focused on establishing their neural network in space, human ground forces would strike at the foundations of their power. Each Marine carried specialized equipment designed to operate in conditions that would kill most species, gear tested in Earth's most extreme environments. Remember your training, Chen addressed her troops. The enemy depends on neural links and perfect environmental control. We don't. That's not our weakness, it's our strength. The dropships descended through atmospheric storms that the Void Hunters' sensors couldn't penetrate. Ground teams deployed across 3 continents using the planet's natural hazards as cover. Where the enemy required environmental suits just to function, humans moved freely, their bodies adapted to handle variations in gravity, temperature, and atmospheric pressure that would incapacitate other species. Chen's team targeted the primary ground-based neural relay station. The facility was a marvel of alien engineering, its crystalline structures pulsing with quantum energy. But it was also a perfect example of the Void Hunters' fundamental weakness. It could only function under precisely controlled conditions. Approaching primary target, O'Connor reported. Enemy defenses are focused outward. They never expected anyone could survive crossing the volcanic plains. The volcanic terrain around the facility would have killed most species. Toxic gases, extreme heat, and constant seismic activity made it the perfect natural defense against anyone but humans. Chen's team had trained in Death Valley and the slopes of active volcanoes for exactly this kind of mission. Execute Operation Earthborn, Chen ordered. Show them what Death World evolution really means. The attack began not with advanced weapons, but with something the Void Hunters had never considered: deliberate environmental manipulation. Human engineers activated devices that mimicked Earth's natural disasters. Localized gravity fluctuations, electromagnetic pulses, and atmospheric pressure changes created conditions similar to their homeworld's worst storms. The effect on the enemy was immediate and devastating. Their neural networks, already strained by maintaining connection through the nebula's interference, began to fail under the assault of constantly changing conditions. The Void Hunters' perfect coordination shattered as their environmental controls struggled to compensate. "They're trying to adapt," O'Connor reported, watching enemy troops deploy in environmental suits. "But they can't match our response time. Their bodies just aren't built for this." Chen led the charge through the facility's outer defenses, where the Void Hunters moved with mechanical precision. Humans flowed like water, adapting instantly to changing conditions. Years of evolution on a planet that tried to kill them daily had created warriors who thrived in chaos. "This is impossible." The Void Hunter commander's transmission crackled through their neural interference. "Your species is primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours. How are you doing this?" "You built technology to avoid facing harsh conditions," Chen replied, breaching the facility's main control center. "We built ourselves to overcome them." That's the difference between surviving on a perfect world and evolving on a death world. The ground assault became a lesson in evolutionary advantages. Human troops demonstrated why Earth's harsh history had created the galaxy's finest warriors. They fought in conditions that would kill most species, used the environment itself as a weapon, and showed why adaptability would always triumph over perfect but inflexible systems. As the neural relay stations fell one by one, the massive arrays in orbit began to falter. Without their ground-based support network, the Void Hunters' attempt to brute force their way through the nebula's interference collapsed. Their perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. But the enemy wasn't defeated yet. As Chen's team secured the primary facility, new alerts flashed across their tactical displays. The Void Hunters had one final card to play, and it would force humanity to prove that their evolutionary advantages could overcome not just superior technology, but the very laws of physics themselves. The Void Hunters' final gambit unfolded like a dark flower in space. Their remaining ships converged, linking together to form a massive neural gestalt, a living superstructure of minds and machines that bent local spacetime with its power. "By all the stars," Council member Lyra whispered, her image flickering on the Sentinel's bridge. "They're attempting full neural convergence. They'll burn out their own minds to achieve perfect unity." Captain Patel watched as the enemy structure grew, its crystalline surfaces reflecting the nebulous light. "Explain." "They're linking every neural network into one entity." Dr. Rodriguez cut in from Earth, her analysis streaming in real time. "No more individual ships or crews. They're becoming a single organism, one that can control local reality itself." On the planet's surface, Colonel Chen's ground teams witnessed the effects firsthand. Reality rippled as the Void Hunter's gestalt mind reached out, trying to impose perfect order on an imperfect universe. The very air seemed to crystallize, natural chaos giving way to unnatural stability. "They're trying to remake everything in their image," Commander Foster reported from the Sentinel's tactical station. "Creating a bubble of perfect conditions, expanding outward. Our advantages won't work if they can control the environment at the quantum level." But Paddle saw something in the sensor data, a pattern that reminded her of Earth's history. "Look at the energy readings. The more they expand their control, the more power they need. They're fighting against the universe's natural tendency toward entropy." just like they've always done, Chen added over the comlink. Their entire civilization is built on the idea of imposing perfect order. They never learned to work with chaos, only against it. That was when Paddle understood the truth that would win them this war. All ships, all ground forces, this is Captain Patel. The enemy thinks chaos is weakness, that perfect order is the ultimate strength. They're wrong. Chaos is the universe's natural state. Evolution itself depends on it. We're going to show them why. The plan that formed was quintessentially human. Instead of fighting the Void Hunters' attempt at perfect order, they would push it to its breaking point. Human ships dove into the expanding field of artificial stability, their systems deliberately creating fluctuations and disruptions. On the ground, Chen's forces activated every environmental manipulation device they had, pushing against the unnatural order with waves of controlled chaos. They're responding, Kumar reported from sensors. The Gestalt is pouring more power into maintaining stability. Their neural networks are operating beyond safe limits. Because they have to, Paddle said. They've built their entire strategy around the idea that they can control everything. The moment that control slips, their whole system fails. The battle became a test of fundamental principles. The Void Hunters imposed perfection against humanity's evolved adaptability. Every time the enemies strengthened their field of order, human forces introduced new chaos. Ships weaved through space like they were navigating Earth's worst storms. Ground troops fought as if they were surviving natural disasters. The Aetherian fleet, learning from their human allies, began to do the same. Their advanced technology, once used to maintain stability, now served to amplify disruption. Their power consumption is critical, Foster announced. The Gestalt can't maintain cohesion. It's trying to expand faster than it can stabilize. Because that's what they never understood, Paddle said, watching as cracks appeared in the enemy's perfect unity. The universe tends toward chaos not because it's flawed, but because that's how life grows. That's how species evolve. That's how we survived Earth. The Void Hunters' Gestalt began to fracture, its attempt at perfect order collapsing under its own weight. As their neural networks overloaded, ships broke away from the superstructure, their crews' minds burning out from the strain of fighting against nature itself. They're retreating, Chen reported from the ground. Their forces are in full withdrawal. Without their neural links, they can't coordinate. Without their environmental controls, they can't function. The victory that followed wasn't just a triumph of humanity over superior technology. It was proof that adaptation would always trump perfection, that survival meant embracing chaos rather than fighting it. The Void Hunters fled the Carina Nebula, their dreams of perfect order shattered by species they had dismissed as primitive. In the aftermath, Council member Lyra stood with Captain Patel and Colonel Chen on the Sentinel's observation deck, watching as human and Aetherian ships began the work of rebuilding. "We thought we understood the universe," Lyra said. "We saw Earth as a death world, too hostile for civilized life. Now I understand. It wasn't hostile. It was educational. Earth taught us that survival isn't about creating perfect conditions," Chen replied. "It's about becoming strong enough to thrive in imperfect ones. And that's the gift we offer to the galaxy," Patel added. "Not advanced technology or perfect order, but the lesson our world taught us. That strength comes from adapting to chaos, not fighting it." As the nebula's light played across the observation deck, humanity had proved something profound to the galaxy. Being a death world species meant more than just surviving harsh conditions. It meant understanding a truth that more advanced civilizations had forgotten. That life itself emerged from chaos, and those who embraced that fact would always be stronger than those who denied it.